What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at the deck profile for Gem-Knight FTK. Plus, I have a few gameplay videos, actually quite a bit, and you'll see some where I open Black Rose Garden, see some without. Basically, I've tried a lot of versions of this deck, like ones with like Crossout Designator, but it makes it way more inconsistent. And really, what you need out of this deck is to be able to do it, right? And that's something that I've realized as I've been kind of playtesting is more and more is like, yeah, like your opponent's definitely at some point going to have hand traps. Now, if you open Black Rose Garden, your opponent can't use Imperm, which is kind of neat. So really, it's like Ash that beats you really bad in Nibiru. But if you keep adding a bunch of stuff to try to stop your opponent from like maybe hand trapping you, then you're not going to be able to do the FTK just in general. I'm really happy about the main deck. The extra deck I'll kind of explain. There's like, I don't know, like 10 cards that are an absolute necessity, and the other ones like really I don't ever use. But we'll go ahead and go by card, and you're gonna run 3 Lapis. This is just Lapis, excuse me, Gem-Knight Lapis. The other normal monsters don't really do anything at all. You're running Unexpected Die in here, so you're also running Galaxy Serpent and Flamvel. This card, I don't know, I don't use nearly as much, but I do use Galaxy Serpent quite a bit because if you don't hard open like Black Garden, like you have to have it in order for the FTK to work. I know there's other like weird ways to do it. Maybe that's something I need to explore more. Because I know you can use like Nightmare Unicorn to like shuffle certain cards back, all that kind of good stuff. But in this case, like I try to make the entire deck based around Black Rose Garden, and like that's super duper important. This card is good as just a normal summon sometimes, like depending on like if you open Unexpected Die. You also need multiple copies as a Rescue Rabbit. This normal monster is really good, which is crazy to say. So talk about these two. 3 Gem-Knight or Gem Armadillo, but it does count as a Gem-Knight monster, which is really important, or Gem monsters, whatever you want to say. Like it's the fact that you can use it for the Link monster is all you really need to know. You can't use it for like these, but you can use it for like Zirconia. It does have a lot of uses, but to be able to search like all of your Gem-Knight monsters like is so huge. Like sometimes you'll need quartz, sometimes you'll need whatever. It's really just like a big piece of the puzzle, which is what this deck is. Now, I know there's no like people hate FTKs, and I totally understand because your opponent doesn't do anything, but it's very interactive for you because it's very you have to do a lot of playtesting kind of to understand every single card and like how basically everything works and how you can do workarounds and all that good stuff. I used to not run 3 quartz, but this card is so important for the FTK. And I also added 3 Scatter Fusion, which searches it. Now, if you have Scatter Fusion in hand in this, like at the end of the day, this is just a body. Sometimes you just need something to fusion summon, and it's a Gem-Knight monster, which is so crazy important. So yeah, love this card. Rescue Rabbit I kind of talked about. Obsidian, kind of awkward because you have to use it to fusion summon from the hand, but if you do have it in your hand, you can fusion summon. It's huge. Being able to bring back Lapis, which is at the core of all of your combo, is great. Plus, it's another body for Black Rose Garden, all that kind of good stuff. One of the MVPs of the deck is Crystal Rose. It's really something you want to send from the deck, though. It's not the best card to see in your opening hand. 2 works really well for me, but in any case, it's a free body to special summon back. It can also churn itself into Lapis by Foolish Bearing Lit. So it doesn't just become the name, like you can just like say like, oh, this is now this card. No, like being able to send any card, you can also send other cool stuff, like Lapis Lazuli or just Lazuli. Jeez, these names are also similar. They end up I mixed them up in my mind, but yeah, you can do so much for this. This card is amazing. Researcher, it's a level 2 tuner, which is really really cool. It also basically gives you a free special summon. Like 99% of the time, most of your deck is rock monsters, non-tuners. You're going to be able to use this card, give yourself that extra body, which you're really going to need because once you go into like Rose Maiden, you're going to need something to go into the Link monster, and this is what helps it do it. So this card has a lot of utility. If you see this card in your opening, I'd say probably 90% of the time you have the FTK. I talked about Lazuli, being able to add this back to your hand. Really, these effects are the same in terms of like what you need it for in the combo, but this is better because you can Foolish Barrel from the deck and get its effect versus this, like I talked about, which has to be from the hand. 3 Unexpected Die, 3 Gem-Knight Fusion, kind of go back and forth in this one a little bit. I think it's fine at 2, but really when you see it in your hand, like you want to see one of all of these cards in your hand because you want to be able to search something else off of quartz. You don't always want to search Gem-Knight Fusion, so that's what playing 3 kind of does for you. So I'm kind of happy with where it's at right now. Terraforming, because the whole deck revolves around these 3 Black Rose Garden. Monster Reborn, really great in this deck. It's an extender most importantly. You'll see it, I think, in the first replay, kind of what it does. Call by the Grave for the Ash. Hopefully you open it. Hopefully your opponent doesn't open it, right? I talked about 3 Scatter Fusion, talked about this. So these first cards are what you absolutely have to have, for this to work. So the 1 Master Diamond and the 2 Lapis Lazuli, like this is the FTK part of it. 2 Zirconia, I think you can even cut this down to 1, to be honest with you. But 2, I think, is like, you might as well. Seraphinite is sick. That additional normal summon is way better in this deck than you might think. Gem-Knight Phantom Quartz is a custom card, in my opinion. Like, it lets you add any card from your archetype, plus Fusion Summon using Banish or Graveyard. I don't think you can print a better Link monster. Garden Rose Maiden is a searcher there. Brilliant Diamond. This from on is like really just like whatever you want to put in there. Brilliant Diamond's kind of cool. This is the new one. I don't know. It lets you banish a monster. Never going to use it. Prismora lets you destroy a face-up card. All right. This lets you return all set spells and traps. This is Gem-Knight Amethyst. Granted, you're never going to use Link Spider. There's lots of normal monsters, so technically it could come up if you need Lapis. It's really like you're not going to use those cards. You just need these ones, right, for the FTK. Now, I'm sure there's better. I know there's better Gem-Knight players than myself, so they'd probably know what to do with the rest of this, but yeah. We'll go ahead and go into the replays here. This one's kind of interesting. I'm going second. He doesn't really set up anything at all. He just sets up a big monster. But hopefully that's what your opponent does. Kind of, I'm thinking like, what are those? Time Lords? Like, this would be a great deck against Time Lords. But this hand's kind of interesting. Kind of stinks to see Galaxy Serpent in your hand. Not something you usually want to see. Maybe if you get that additional normal summon. But this hand's actually better than if I was going first. I don't really know what I would have done if I was going first, to be completely honest with you. So Scatter Fusion comes in handy here. That's why I like playing it at 3 now. Here comes an additional normal summon. I'm going into Black Rose. So I don't think I would have been able to do the FTK if I was going first, which is kind of cool. So it kind of works out for the best. Here comes Zarconia. Pretty neat. It's starting to put a bunch of tokens on his field. I don't even know what this does. I think it's like not a quick effect. Probably can do some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, that's pretty rough. Crystal Rose can come down. I'm pretty sure I can just have it Foolish Burial anything, which is going to be another Lapis. It becomes Lapis on the board, so definitely need to use Crystal Rose a lot of the times, like I talked about when I was going over the deck profile. Everything's set in place. You can leave 2 of your zones empty, actually, for the FTK to work. It doesn't take that much. Like the Crystal Rose, like these Rose tokens, put in so much work. I mean, that's how the FTK is even possible. Here's Virtual World. So in this case, I did open Black Rose Garden, which whenever you see it, like I said, any normal summon pretty much puts you there, because Quartz can go ahead and set from the deck. I can activate Scatter Fusion. Send a couple of cards like Lapis Lazuli, which are just Lazuli. I keep saying that. But I need a Fusion Summon. I need to get a body like in the graveyard, so I can just use it for a Link Summon there. I can add Brilliant Fusion to my hand, and then Crystal Rose can go ahead and send another copy of that, so it becomes that I can use this. Lazuli's going to let that add back to my hand, and I'm just a hop skipping away from the FTK here. I can banish this, add this. I don't even think I need to do this anymore. At this point, I just need to put a couple of extra bodies, or maybe just one more body on the board. I can go into Master Diamond. I haven't used Lapis Lazuli, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make sure you have to send a copy of itself. That way you can banish it with Master Diamond to burn for the rest. So, sorry, you're never going to be able to use Fusion Destiny or whatever cards else you have in your hand there. And this is against the other, I guess this is the other duel against Chronomaly. So I can go ahead and normal summon here, add this to my hand. Researcher, honestly, I kind of like really need a good body, like a level 3 body to hit the board. And the last card it hits is that Lapis. So a little lucky there, not going to lie, but going 5 deep, you have to feel pretty decent. And maybe I shouldn't even have added Lapis and give myself a better chance for it, because I think that was one of my only targets, but it worked out for me. And with this on the board, yeah, this is the FTK for sure. And I can add the Quartz. Quartz can go ahead. And that's what's cool about, like I said, running those extra copies of Gem-Knight Fusion, because now I was able to search something else to help enable the FTK, right? This can go ahead and add itself back to the hand. Gem-Knight Fusion, I can do this because I think I have a Crystal Rose in the graveyard, have to have something to banish, which is exactly what I do. And this is the end of the duel. Crystal Rose, I don't even know. I didn't even need to send that, other than maybe being another body. Maybe I needed it. No, I didn't. I guess I just did it for the flex. And Master Diamond can go ahead and banish there. Send the last whatever, doesn't really matter. And that was burning for a game. We'll keep going here. I think this is against Exo Sister. And Unexpected Die can get me a Lapis. And then I can go ahead, Researcher, so good. And this is like pretty much the best opening you could ever have. I already have so many bodies on the board. I'm really not that far away from the FTK at this point at all. But I think I get another additional body, and that's going to go ahead and be the Lazuli. You know, Garden Rose Maiden can go there. It's just a special summon body at this point, so it does help with burning. I can add Gem-Knight Fusion. And I can go ahead and activate there, go into Seraphinite. Pretty neat, because that throws the, the rose into the graveyard, which is important. Zarconia can go ahead. I can bring this back to my hand. That way I can go into Lapis Lazuli, which is really cool. I can bring this back. That's the 4th token. I'm already like way far ahead. And I can send a Quartz. I think it ends up just being another body in the graveyard. I can activate the Phantom Quartz, special summon for the rest, and that's it. That's game. So it's pretty consistent, not going to lie. Like the way I have it, you're probably going to be able to do this like 85% of the time, which I think is all you can ask for. Now, I talked about hand traps too, but what are you going to do? Sometimes you're playing an FTK deck, you know? Like it's all like weird combos. This time I did open up Black Rose Garden, so like I said, whenever you see that, it's just always going to happen. Probably should have activated Black Rose Garden already. I'm not really sure what I'm waiting for. And yeah, I waited too long. Although I had enough gas in my hand anyways. I don't really run Brilliant Rose anymore. Doesn't really have a place in this deck necessarily. But I can go ahead and bring this back. I'd already have all the tokens if I had just started out my plays this way, but okay. And this is a special summon body too, which is, I guess, is kind of neat. I made this a lot more harder than I needed to, but Gem-Knight Fusion can bring this back. I don't think I need to do this anymore, but that's going to bring the last one. 2 zones open, way more than enough. It's going to be 5k damage for each, and I have one more replay. Of course, this deck is pretty straightforward in terms of like what it's trying to accomplish, or like what the end board looks like, quote unquote. And last is, like, again, against Virtual World. I think he ends up setting up Shen Shen, so this is a good way to, like, end the duel. You can play around it because the Phantom Quartz does fusion summon from the banish pile, which is awesome. If this was a Chuchi, I'm not sure if I would be able to do this, but well, I guess we'll find out. Xiamen can go ahead and add the Foxy Tune, but he can't use... Oh, no, he can use Foxy Tune now. Pretty cool. So it just ends up being a body. Pretty neat. And, okay. So here comes Unexpected Die. Lapis Lazuli. So you can see here, not the worst thing in the world to see this in your opening hand, right? Because you can still use it for, the garden. You can activate Scatter Fusion. He already controls a bunch of monsters, which is pretty nice. I get that additional normal summon. We'll see if I end up using it. I'm not sure. But you do get Zarconia effect that can go ahead and do a whole bunch of stuff. Also, the new Gem-Knight Quartz adds cards back to your hand. I didn't need the gas, but maybe you did. Like, maybe I could have needed it, right? Like, that's the interaction that I just kind of wanted to showcase there. And Lapis Lazuli, he does have an extra monster in this monster zone, so it kind of helps me out a little bit. But yeah, pretty cool. So I can send this and then banish it and send it again. So pretty neat. That's Gem-Knight FTK. I hope to never play this deck ever again, to be honest with you. It's just so silly, so straightforward. And of course, everybody you play against probably hates you with a burning passion. Below, know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.